Now, today we'll go beyond Jung a little bit and talk about the problem of free will. Free will is something I've mentioned in many videos. I often said I don't believe in free will. I don't think free will exists to the extent we think it exists. Now, just to be clear, I do think free will exists on a day-to-day level. I can make a choice to pick up this book. I can make a choice to click a button, but and we can call that into question in other contexts as well. But I want to talk about two very fundamental conceptual points why on a larger scale free will doesn't really come into play. Now, one of these levels is the level of the ego, in which we crystallize or let's say assemble certain elements that we then crystallize and add into sort of a linear structure. And while these elements that we think are stable, we project to be stable, continue to develop. Now, this is the first level. The second level, conjuncted with that, is the problem of debt. Now, debt is essentially the dependence of certain interpretations. There's sort of the interdependence of interpretations of these elements. Now, the second proper level would be the level of the collective unconscious. Now, the collective unconscious is a concept that Jung proposed, where the archetypes function, as we'll come to see, as some trajectories along which we can situate precisely the elements we talked about in the first part of the video, the elements that the ego then crystallizes. And these trajectories also play upon these elements and sort of influence them, sort of scolding, if you will, the free will that we think we have. Now, after this, subsequent to this introduction, we'll talk about again, as I said, these elements in their crystallization a little bit. We'll talk about the problem of debt, and we'll go on to talk about the problem of the collective unconscious, to then end up with some concluding remarks and sort of how we can use this limitation of free will in everyday life, in our own psychological development.